Hey everybody, it's Jamie from the Marine Doctor's YouTube channel, and today we're working on a Force 150. The customers had it at a couple dealerships and they haven't been able to figure it out. What they have found out is it has decent compression and spark, but it still won't start. I think the flywheel key is sheared off. Let's go have a look. One of my least favorite things to do, pulling a flywheel off of a Force engine. The puller bolts don't really bite too much into the flywheel and they're very small. The chances of stripping one, it's high. Let's have at her. So what do we need? An 1 1/16 socket, my cordless impact, washers, puller bolts, finally the puller. Flywheel nut first. Let's go ahead and spin these puller bolts down. So we want to bottom these out. That way we know for sure that they're in equal. I could have just as easily used my cordless drill to do this, but I don't want to strip these holes no matter what. I'm taking all the precautions I can. Tight, tight, and tight. Okay, because we know that the puller bolts are tightened down equally, I can go ahead and use my impact on this part. It spun up nice and easy. There didn't seem to be any real tension. The impact didn't have to impact. Perhaps I'm right. Let's go ahead and pull that flywheel off and let's take a look. Remember, we're looking for broken flywheel key. Well, as you could see, the flywheel key was definitely in place. I was wrong. I got to keep looking. Let's get back at it. My next step is to verify that it actually has ignition. Even though the customer stated that it did, I want to double check. Spark checker is hooked up. My little switch is hooked up so I can spin it over and away we go. I don't see any spark. Somebody lied to this guy. Let's find out why. On most engines, we have 4 components that control the spark. We've got a trigger, a stator, a CDI box or power pack, and the coils. The chances of all the coils burning out at one time, 0. The CDI pack, yes, that'll take out all cylinders. The stator, yes, it will take out all cylinders. The trigger, highly unlikely, will usually lose a bank of cylinders. So we got some more investigating. The next tool that I'm going to be using is a DVA meter. It allows me to test the peak AC voltage. I'll be able to tell where the spark starts and where it stops. Let's have a look at that tool. This is just a normal run-of-the-mill digital multimeter. Until I add this DVA adapter to it that I created. One of these days I'll do a video on how to make these. It's a very simple electronics project, but the payoff is fantastic. Let's put it to use. Setting up and using the DVA meter is fairly straightforward. Black goes to ground and red goes to the wire that we wish to test. On this particular engine, we're going to test the blue lead, which comes from the stator. We're going to be looking for at least 230 volts. If it's not there, we've probably found our culprit. Let's go see the test. All right, so we've got our black lead hooked up. We're connected to our blue lead, which runs to the stator. And I've still got my switch in place, as well as the ignition switch is turned to the on position. Let's go ahead and see what we get for a reading. Peaked at 52. That's not gonna spark. We peaked at 52 volts, but let's go ahead and we're gonna try one more test before we claim that the stator is no good. We're gonna disconnect the kill wires in case it's shorting the ground. Okay, we'll repeat that same test. 50s again. We'll double check in the book, but I'm pretty sure the stator's a fail. Here we have the CDI Electronics Practical Outboard Ignition Troubleshooting book. It's also available online at CDI Electronics, and it is free. It downloads as a PDF file, but it gives you very good insight of the voltages that are needed to operate the system. They also give very good troubleshooting advice as well. CDI Electronics replacement stator, which is what's on the engine. Check the DVA output and resistance from the blue wire to the engine ground. You should read a minimum of 160 volts DVA and 80 ohms resistance. So if this was the factory stator that was on there, we should have seen around 250 volts, but we're not even seeing the voltage required for the CDI version of 160 volts. We can conclude that the stator does not function properly. Okay, so my hunch was wrong. My hunch led me to do a little bit more work than I actually needed because I believed what the customer had said. He said that the engine had ignition. It does not. Now, I have to repeat the same steps that I did before to pull the flywheel off and remove the stator, order a new stator, and replace it. I'm pretty confident that that's going to fix this engine. All right, thank you for watching, and if you guys like these videos, please like, comment, and subscribe. I really appreciate it, and if you guys have any ideas for future videos, put them down in the comments below. All right, thanks guys, and have fun.